Hey everyone, it's Wendy Hutchinson with The Path of Me and Alinea Life Coaching. I am so excited to have the lovely Adora Winquist all the way from North Carolina joining me today. She's the owner of AW and also Zenergy medicinals. She's a quantum alchemist, which I'm really excited to deep dive in. Welcome, Adora. Thank you so much for being here.
Wendy, it's such an honor. It's lovely to see your beautiful face again and to connect with you in this way, in this really potent time of potential and transformation and shift.
Yeah. You're so much more than the quantum alchemist, which is so cool anyways.
Thank you.
But I'm hoping that all the titles and all of the things you're bringing to the world are going to kind of naturally unfold, because if I listed them all, it would take up our whole hour. You're so magnificent and doing so much cool stuff.
Well, that's really sweet.
Right now. So right now, I know one of your main focuses is being an innovator in bringing aromatherapy and energy medicine together.
Yes.
So let's kind of start there and how that found you, or how you found and evolved into that.
Yeah, that's really a great question. Thank you so much. So when I was I'll start young. When I was a pretty young kid, after dinner, when it was time to do the dishes, I would decide that I had to use the restroom conveniently to get out of doing the dishes. And I would go in there and I would mix potions with all of my mother's expensive perfumes and powders and anything I could find. And I would stay in there mixing for, at least an hour or until everything was done in the kitchen. And I look back at that and think, wow, it's such an interesting root of so much of my life. And then, of course, flash forward to being in my teens. Every year, I would get a really bad bout of bronchitis, actually twice a year, fall and spring, that was brought about by allergies. And so I would be out of school for a really long period of time, and it was debilitating as a young adult. And then when I left home and went to Cape Cod to live for the first time, I was probably about 18, 19. And then I didn't have health insurance. And so I ended up very sick, and somewhere somebody told me about herbs. So I went and bought a book and 5 different herbs, hyssop, thyme, eucalyptus, ginger, and licorice root. And I'm happy if people are interested to give this recipe at a later date. I don't have it at my fingertips, but I went home and I made this tea, and it healed my bronchitis faster than any form of more traditional Western medicine.
Yeah, I definitely want to include that recipe down, below when we publish our interview. He's so awesome.
I haven't had bronchitis since then.
Wow.
So that led me to make teas for anyone that was sick, or anyone that said yes to me to make something. And then finally I was making tinctures, and then I found essential oils, and I fell in love.
You became like this mixologist over time. You just loved your potions and
exactly.
Sounds amazing.
It's very true. And so once I found essential oils, I knew that I was home, because I'd always been immersed by the sense of smell. And it was such a powerful awakener of...
What year was that, would you say? Because I think you were really ahead of your time.
Yes, let's see. So this would have been the mid-90s when I first started mixing and studying Reiki. I had my first Reiki attunement, and I could all of a sudden see colors around people. And I thought, this is really amazing. I want more of this. And then when I started to use the healing with myself and others, I was amazed by how deeply it could affect us on the emotional level. And so I started really studying both essential oils and vibrational medicine around that time, and then started to study a little bit more professionally, traveling to places like Egypt to really look at the culture and how spirituality and plant medicine were so intertwined. And it wasn't just about healing us on the physical level. It was about awakening and shifting our emotions and awakening and expanding our spiritual connection or consciousness. And then when I traveled,
find your teachers, because I know you went to Egypt and India, right?
It's so interesting. I've always had this blessing in my life that, you know, it's like that old adage, when you're ready, your teacher will come. Mm-hmm. Or if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
So my teachers have always showed up in perfect divine timing. And when I was in India, it was such a, you know, again, I was in my early 20s, and I was on this trip with people that were innovators in the field of essential oils and educators around the world, and had world-class companies. And I felt so much of a neophyte, but it was
I would be so insecure in that company, being in my 20s, but probably so open to learning.
So green. Wow. But it was one of the most profound experiences of my life. One, because India is a land of such paradox and mystery and mystique. And it has the ability to bring up such deep places within us that want to come to the surface to be transformed. And I think that first trip there, I laughed more and cried more than I had in my entire life. And we were able to go pick the flowers in the fields, like in the jasmine fields with the women, and at 6 a.m. when the flowers were just beginning to open, and to be able to pick them and really have the experience of what it takes from seed, right, to nurturing that seed, to harvesting, and then of course distillation. And one of my still almost poignant memories is being able to go to the lotus ponds. This was in southern India, and we had to go so early when the flowers were opening, because every plant has a particular time of when it starts to open up, right? And that vital life force is the strongest, which means the chemical constituents in the resultant essential oil are going to have the broadest spectrum for medicine for our beings. Wow. And of course, they have to be picked at a certain time, harvested, processed, and then distilled to maintain that highest chemical efficacy. But we ended up going out and 5:30 in the morning to the lotus pond, and these lovely men went out in these boats that looked like large bins that we would use for maybe cleaning. And they would paddle out with their hands until they could find the lotus flower, and they brought them back to us. And I recall the power of holding it in my hands, inhaling its fragrance, which is so ethereal. And you could feel it as it pulled your energy up, right, out of your body. So you can really see how it opens us up to higher realms of consciousness and divine connection. And so, you know, those trips were really instrumental for me. Priceless, absolutely. And then, you know, coming back and really beginning more formulation on my own personal blends, and then having a much more significant health crisis in my very early 20s, around 2021, where I was ultimately diagnosed with endometriosis. And so for women that have this, it is a tremendously painful and debilitating disease process that can ultimately end in hysterectomy. And I can recall being 21, and this is when they didn't really know as much about it. And the doctor wanted to do a full hysterectomy.
Oh my gosh.
And I knew that I was supposed to have 2 children. Mm-hmm. And so I declined. And the beauty of that experience is that it drew me to a deeper relationship of self-responsibility for my own healing, and a deeper study and experience and immersion into the fields of essential oils, botanical medicine, vibrational medicine, and healing with all of these different tools, of course, exercise and nutrition, and acupuncture, and so many other modalities that we do have at our fingertips to be able to take charge of our own healthcare and well-being.
Wow, you're so ahead of your time.
Well,
You know, it's so common now, right?
right.
Everybody's selling essential oils, or, I mean, it's so common in our everyday life. But back then,
Back then it
that
was
was
more,
cutting edge,
it was
really.
cutting edge. It was really a beautiful time because there wasn't a lot of white noise about essential oils and vibrational healing. So there was just this beautiful, expansive path for exploration to be able to really discern and find my own truth. And really that the process of healing from the endometriosis really brought me to one of the sweet spots or passions for my work, both as a formulator and as a facilitator, author, and one-on-one practitioner around working with women and being able to support ourselves collectively to source our wise women within, to
Awesome.
reconnect with the divine feminine places of power, empowerment. It's not power over, it's power within, right? It's power
It all starts with us
always.
individually, right? So
Yeah,
that
so well put.
that alignment with you, within yourself, must have been crucial in your healing yourself of this debilitating experience and disease, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So much of my work has come from that time, and so really, I look at it. It was a gift. It was a gift because it was a teacher for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Every difficulty in life really is a teacher and a gift, right? If we are willing to look at it through
Yes.
the right lens.
Yeah. When we're really willing to let go of the construct of victim consciousness and come to a perspective of self-discernment, self-responsibility, knowing that we all come here because we have a purpose. And the slogan for my Adora Winquist brand is soul work is your soul work, right? We've come here because we have a soul purpose and a soul path. And as we look at our life experience, and one of the things that I think is so important when we look back at our early childhood development, I like to refer to that as our treasure map, right? Because it holds all of the places of traumatic experience that we've come into this life to transform, to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's all there, like this beautiful map that takes us to the treasure, and the treasure is really our own quintessence, right? Our own light and golden essence that each individual has, that is filled with the gifts that only we can bring, the gifts that only you can bring into this world, that are held within you, that connect in with the unity that we are all one, and the beautiful tapestry that we all weave together when we're aligned in a place of flow and aligned with our soul purpose.
Yeah, that alignment is so critical. And I think people have drifted off center and out of alignment. So it's not really so much it's not so much a path of seeking externally. It's really about, like you're saying, finding that soul path, finding that sweet spot that is where you are meant to be and what you're meant to bring to the world with your light, your purpose, your alignment within your soul to source, you know, where you're going to start getting clear downloads and information and guidance.
Absolutely.
So that's so beautiful that you had that throughout your life. It sounds like you were always kind of being guided back to yourself, it sounds like.
Yeah, and I think that ultimately we all are, and we just forget to listen sometimes. So when I'm working with the different elements or interventions from an alchemical perspective, in addition to the plants and essential oils and crystals, I love to work with sacred geometry. And I love to think about the nautilus shell and how it really represents our inner spiral, right? The healing journey is a spiral within, right? Because that's the only way that we can source our own quintessence and be able to move through the places of trauma that we all have, to be able to bring the light of healing, of vibration, so we can experience and free the emotion that's held there, right? Because that's all held energetically. It's like a energetic calcification, right? That's held in the energy
It
field.
really needs to be dissolved and released.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if we think about it from a holographic perspective, right? So our bodies are made up of trillions and trillions of cells. And these cells communicate to each other through, in quantum physics, what's termed as biophotons, which is essentially light.
Mm-hmm.
So these cells are communicating to each other through light, and then also from our energy bodies to our cellular matrices through light, and then back, right? Reverberating back and forth.
Yeah.
And so thinking about that from a cellular perspective, the cells hold our DNA, which is every experience and emotion, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, that we've had since the moment of conception, and that our mother has had, and our father, and their mothers and fathers, and so on and so on and so on. All that information and energy is held within us.
It's remarkable, isn't it? It's remarkable when you think about it.
Amazing.
I think what's been such a powerful realization for me is the ability to reprogram that DNA,
Yes.
to recode that through energy, because it is energy. So our energy, our thoughts, our field of potentials for ourselves, what we are attaching to, what we are emitting, is such a huge game changer.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
it affects
Yeah.
everything within our cellular body.
Yeah, it's so well put, Wendy. You know, we're really at this juncture of time and space right now on the planet where we can literally quantum leap along our own spiral journey of transformation, to really go in there and bring healing and light and nourishment and clearing the memory of all the way back through the DNA and the bloodlines, to fully activate our light and our love in a way that allows our soul to bring that purpose so beautifully to
and manifest here
life, but to actualize
yes,
it. Absolutely.
Yes, it's so powerful.
Total game changer for us, not just as individuals, but as unified collective consciousness, and of course for this beautiful planet where now we're all really at this inflex point, right, of what's happening right now, where it's imperative to look within.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And to reconnect, not just with ourselves, because we've gotten so far from connecting with ourselves and that core relationship,
yes,
but connect back in with the core of the earth and the beauty of our earth.
Mm-hmm. That's so beautiful and so true. And now is the time. I feel like what has been happening with this whole coronavirus experience globally is it is creating space. It's creating this gift of space for people to actually be silent and present with themselves. That has never been gifted. And permission has never been given, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So now is such a critical time for people to actually be tuning in to what's happening within their emotional bodies, within their mental bodies, and to do exactly what you're expressing here, which is to connect to what their purpose here is, who they are on a cellular level. And as we heal ourselves, and we're all able to self-heal, there's, of course, tools like the things that you're offering, things I offer to help people come back to themselves. But you are actually not only healing yourself, but you're healing your DNA, past, present, and future, along your ancestral lines. You are breaking patterns. You are creating new templates for family lines going forward. So this DNA aspect is so important. and such an integral part of healing yourself. It's not just about feeling better physically, right?
No, it really isn't. It's about bringing generational heritage level healing
Yes.
through
Yes.
our beings, through ourselves, and then back all the way through each of the bloodlines, mother and father, right? Even back to the point of origination, and then shifting everything vibrationally all the way forward into the future.
Yeah.
Of course, for our children's and families and our children's and so on.
Every time there's an interruption and a break in a pattern, like a negative or a denser vibrational pattern, it's creating a powerful and positive shift as we spiral up, like you
Absolutely.
say, through that spiral of time.
Yes.
For ourselves and our families going forward, like you're saying. You know, your Riemann Energy Essentials, your first product line was one of the first national brands to combine aromatherapy and energy healing.
Yes.
Just so cool.
Thank you. It's, you know, for me, it was very simple because those were my two greatest passions in life, really from the get-go of studying in this field. And now, you know, it's funny when Riemann was really taking off, although I had changed the name to Opus Gaia and I was selling to Whole Foods. You know, at that point in 2009, it was a whole line of 7 chakra balancing blends. There was nothing else like it on the shelves. And even, you know, Whole Foods, even though it was more of an advanced grocery store, still a grocery store per se. And then flash forward to even a few years ago, how many products you see at Whole Foods and even more conventional stores on the chakras, whether it's perfumes or roll-ons or bath products. It just really shows that not only is consumer awareness elevated, but consumer awareness is elevated because our consciousness is, right?
Yes,
and that's really the ultimate driver for awareness, purpose, and action.
Absolutely, because everything starts with your inner knowing, right? Your inner discernment around what's next for you. Yes. And as we grow, as we clear, like you said, and let go of the things that are no longer aligned, no longer serving, we are ascending and expanding in consciousness. And most people think ascension is the kind of the stair step up, but it's more of an expansion.
Yeah, I really think
that kind of thing.
It's a deepening of connection to self, because the connection to our core is really the only way that we can remember that we are these enormous divine beings of light and co-creators of not just this universe, but multiverses.
Yes. Is there anything more powerful than that realization when it really hits you fully?
Well, you know, this is the one thing that I like to think about, because it's a reminder of the power of levity and humor in humanity, and how often we vacillate from moments of profound forgetting to complete ownership and realization of just that truth, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The human paradox.
Yeah. So you have been really focused on supporting women on their awakening journey. And you were telling me that you're doing this really cool trip to France in September. Tell me a little bit about that and what that work looks like to you. We're seeing such a great, awesome rise of the divine feminine.
It's so true. It's one of my greatest passions because of my own healing journey. And because of all of the years of working with women and having the profound honor to walk with them on the journey of their own awakening and empowerment, and being able to heal from the places where we think we're not capable or where we think we're small. And so for a number of years, I've done groups, and I do one now, although now it's moved to Zoom, so anyone anywhere can.
Right, that's awesome.
Divine Feminine Gathering,
Yeah.
where we talk about all these different alchemical interventions we can use to remember our truth, because we're all being called. We're all being called as
Definitely.
keepers of the sacred flame and the sacred mysticism. And we're being called to remember that we heal stronger and faster when we do it in community. And when we're supporting each other in community, then we are able to elevate not just ourselves, but each other through doing that. And I think that's so powerful, because then it creates more momentum for us on a global perspective.
Absolutely.
So the group that's coming up that I'm really excited about, I was called a number of months ago intuitively to lead a gathering of the Divine Feminine, a pilgrimage for the sacred mysticism of Mary Magdalene in the south of France. And of course, we were going to do it in June and had to move the date up, which is perfect. And so the dates are going to be in September now, around the equinox. And so I'll be taking a group of women, and we'll be immersing ourselves not just in the beauty and the countryside and the culture of the south of France, but really the pilgrimage of where Mary Magdalene came, and the steps that she took, and the journey inward of her own healing and passive initiation, because she was a very high level initiate and a leader, and a very powerful keeper of the potency of sacred sexuality, of deep, deep reverence for the divine, and an eternal strength that defied so much, and has such a powerful medicine to share with us, especially right now as we're being called to awaken and remember, not just awaken and remember, but to step into our power. We are the ones we've been waiting for.
Exactly.
Every moment of our lives has led us perfectly here and now to remember that, and to step into our truth and our strength without apology. And that doesn't mean to do it in a way that powers over others. It means that we can be bold in our own truth, and we can be aligned with grace, but strength at the same time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Now, if people want to find you, where would they find information about these excursions or your work? If they want to work with you, how do they find you?
AdoraWinquist.com has everything from our events, although the Mary Magdalene will be up probably in the next 3 days. We're just finalizing some copy on the itinerary, which is very exciting. But it'll have everything from the alchemical integration products that I formulate, which are infused vibrationally with essential oils, gem elixirs, and then certain light codes or intentions for assimilating frequency and clearing and integration. And then booking sessions for the quantum alchemy with me, either one-on-one or the group work. And then business coaching is also available on that site. And then, of course, my other site, Zenergy Medicinals, which I co-founded with a colleague, Dr. Lulu Shemek. And she and I are also finalizing our book that will be launched in spring of 2020 in Europe and America, which is all about healing at the DNA level, using these different elements of alchemy to really go in and heal the body and the emotions and the energy body system by system, using the DNA as a portal to go into the bloodlines and heritage through the mother and father lines for quantum level healing. And so that's very, very exciting. And our product line is also available on the formulary at Zenergy Medicinals. In fact, I do want to mention our latest line, which is so germane right now, called the Viral Warrior. And so this is really a product formulation from essential oils, I do the essential oil formulating. Dr. Lulu does the herbal formulating. Then they're infused with gem essences, and then again, different vibrational patterns and light codes to create not just the force field energetically, but all of the vibration that's available to us right now that we're assimilating, that we're integrating, right? That we're bringing into this new earth so we can create a completely different harmonic and resonance of light and love on the planet. And so we have the whole line that's available through Zenergy medicinals right now.
So anyone can go there and order it online and it will ship to them, or?
There is a code of Immune10 for a discount for that line.
I will put that down below and in our comments.
Excellent, excellent, thank you.
So cool. Tell me how you met your partner.
Sure, so that's a great question. So about, let's see, 2 years ago, although it's really hard to imagine that it's only been 2 years, I had left day-to-day operations of a company called Aromatherapy that I founded some 20 years ago, and decided I really wanted to get back to my roots of a healing practice and teaching, all the things that I couldn't do when I was building a big mass business.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend said, hey, you should go meet Dr. Lulu. She has this clinic. It's in this beautiful castle in Asheville. And I thought, okay, sounds good. All right, because I'm asking for guidance and I'm opening and I'm listening, right? So important. I'm allowing that to come through. And so we met and I thought, well, this is really interesting. And I went into the bathroom and it just so happened that on the wall there was a piece of art that was about 3/4 of, it was an image of a child. And then the very small part about this big was a map. And on that map, I happened to see my hometown, which isn't a big place, but Schenectady, New York. Certainly not here in North Carolina, very far away. And what are the odds of this? And so because my life has been so divinely guided, I knew to pay attention to that.
Right.
And started seeing clients there, building a practice there. And then she and I just really hit it off and found that when working together, we could create in such an easy and beautiful and fast and powerful way. So much unfolded since then. And with we have a speaking platform global, and then of course the book and the product line. It's been a very exciting 2 years.
Gosh, I don't think you're sleeping right now. Sounds like you have a lot in the works.
I'm also menopausal, so.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. We've got plenty of time where you're awake at night at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Coming up with ideas and writing.
Start writing.
So the name of your book is Your Health is Your Freedom. And that's being released soon, right?
Yes, it's Your Health is Your Freedom. This is the first of 3 books. This one is Natural Medicine for Mood, Energy, and Love. And because really we go into 3 systems of the body. So mood, we're talking about the brain and the nervous system. Energy, we're talking about the adrenal system. And love, we're of course talking about the heart and the cardiovascular system. And so it's not just a book, it's really a revolutionary guide that people can use as a workbook to deep dive into the places that they're looking to not just explore, but bring healing light to. So they can, of course, awaken on their own journey, their own soul path of self-actualization. And so that's going to be released here in the US and Europe and Australia in spring of 2021.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah, so that's really exciting.
Yeah. So I know that you have a new podcast coming up too. It's called Quantum Alchemy for Your Soul Path. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so I'm really excited about this, about bringing in other visionaries in the field of quantum alchemy, which is still newly defined. And it's people that are really working with essential oils, herbs, crystals, vibrational medicine, sacred geometry, ritual, the divine feminine, quantum physics, the way that we can work to awaken and heal and transform and actualize our deepest soul longings, and people that are experts in the field of doing this. And so we're looking at a launch probably of May of this year, which is very exciting. So experts in the fields of working with crystals. How can I take a crystal and be able to use it in a way that I'm going to experience not just a practical connection or shift, but an emotional shift, a spiritual awakening? It's something that's going to affect me on a cellular level and a sustainable level, right? Not just a quick fix. Really being able to provide our listeners with different interventions that I've come to love and experience and want to bring in other leaders in the field.
Well, I think what's important is people need to understand that the vibrational frequency is changing on our planet. It's evolving, it's rising, it's changing. The use of crystals and how people will use crystals and do healing, that's going to change as well. It's evolving with this vibrational shift. So what's so important and critical right now is for people to be willing to let go of the old ways of doing things, the old mindsets, because we're dealing with a completely new template that's being written right now.
I know, it's so exciting. And even though there's tremendous fear on the planet right now, it's so important for us to remember to take care of ourselves. Remember that this is an evolutionary shift. It's a higher vibrational shift, and that working with practices like breathing and grounding and meditation is imperative. It's so critical right now in our essential oils and our crystals and all of the ways that we can connect with each other, right? Coming back to that place of unity and supporting each other, being able to connect again in ways of authenticity, right?
Absolutely.
Not just with each other, with ourselves primarily. Because
it starts with ourselves. If you can't connect authentically with ourselves, then there is no authenticity with anyone else, right? So it's so important. Tell me a little bit about your Zenergy medicinals. I know our mutual friend Patsy Balaki helped you brand a lot of the design. Lady.
Oh my gosh, Patsy. Well, first of all, I just adore her. We have been friends and been working together for, I think, literally over 20 years, which is such a beautiful gift and continues to be so. Even from my very first business back in the late 90s, she did the design work for that and every one in between.
Wow. She was telling me that you have these different, I don't know, is it 3 or 4 different offerings?
Yeah, so essentially the Zenergy medicinal line, basically we're taking botanicals and essential oils and crystals, gem elixirs, flower essences, vibrational infusions, right? Light codes, frequency, infusing it into the biochemical molecules of the plant matter, whether it's a roll-on or a spray or a herbal supplement or a tea. And so there is essentially a formula to detox, nourish, and activate each system of the body. So right now we have the adrenal, the heart, cardiovascular, and the brain and nervous system. So why is it 3, right? Why are we talking about it's DNA, but why is it detox, nourish, and activate? Well, so because we can really quantum leap, quantum shift, quantum heal right now, that requires us to do it in a sustainable way. And to do it sustainably, we really have to get in from a holographic perspective, not just from the energy bodies clearing, but down to the cellular level, the cellular matrices, detoxing there to cleanse and purify. Because if we don't do that, we can't bring any new healing light or love or frequency. It can't stay there.
Right, you can't hold and maintain that vibration.
Exactly. So the detox formulas help to cleanse and purify, to create the space to allow in the next level being nourishing. And this is really important because whenever we do clearing, we're doing clearing not just of energy, right, but of debris at the molecular level, at the emotional level. We have to fill that with love, because all of that has really been solely the absence of love. Yes. Right? That remembrance. Mm-hmm. So that nourishment allows us to fortify the energy bodies in the places that we have just cleared out, which creates, it's like when we have a garden, right? We mm-hmm. have to prepare the soil. Right. We have to make sure that it's clear and open so we can plant the seeds. And then we have to nurture them with what they need, which in that case is going to be light, sun, right, nutrition, water. Mm-hmm. But for our beings, it's really love. So we fill the infusions and the nourish formulas with that vibration, which allows us to come in with the activate formulas, right? The activation formulas are able to bring in the higher frequencies, intentions, right? Intentions for wholeness, for full spectrum realization of our divine light and our potential and our quintessence, right? Like those unique gifts and light that we only have. It allows us to activate that in a sustainable way. Right, so the formulas are really synergistic in that respect. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Now, do people have to do like one aspect first and then you transition to the next one? It sounds like it's a several step process. So you wouldn't be mixing them all at one time. You kind of do one protocol for a little while and then you transition to the next one and then
it
builds on itself, right?
Exactly. And we have information on the Zenergy medicinal site about that. So you can choose whether you want to start with the adrenal system. How do you choose? Do you choose it intuitively, or do you know, like, okay, I'm in adrenal fatigue. I really need to get in there and get some adrenal detox and nourishment before I can activate the adrenal system. Otherwise, that activation, your system can't take the pulse in a sustainable way.
Right. That makes total sense.
Yeah. So ultimately, there will be formulations for all of the systems. The thyroid system is the next one that will be released, as we just released the Viral Warrior line, which is really exciting because there is a gargle for that, which is an essential oil blend of very potent antiviral essential oils like cinnamon, like clove, like lemon. And then different gem essences like orgonite and shungite and gold, and then different energetic frequencies, light frequencies and sacred geometry and codes that are in there to not just bring shielding to the energy bodies, but activation of that new light as well. There's been a bumblebee flying around today, so you might.
That's a sign. Let's pay attention to that one too.
So in that collection, we have the gargle, which is a really potent way to get the essential oils, not just into the bloodstream, but into the lymph system. And there's a spray, a roll-on, an herbal supplement, and then a tea as well.
Wow, that is so cool. And it's all produced there in North Carolina where you are?
Oh, yes.
I see that bee just circling you. Really wants your attention.
Been hanging out with me for about 3 hours now.
Oh my gosh. You have to lean into that a little deeper.
I know. It's a good omen.
The last thing I really wanted to touch on before we run out of time is your support of the veteran community. It sounds like that is a passion project of yours. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, that is a huge passion. And so I'm going to attempt not to tear up here, but so my father was a Marine. He passed away this past November at age 88. Wow. And what I realized is that once you're a Marine, and
always a Marine,
always a Marine. And I grew up, this is kind of a funny aspect, but when I was young, there were two things I could listen to. One was classical music and the other one was the Marine hymn. So I was very much indoctrinated into that. And I also saw the places of trauma and wounding that he carried in his life because of his experiences in the Korean War. Mm-hmm. And so So for many, many years, it was my deep longing to work with the veteran community. And when I came here and met Dr. Lulu, who was out there, had already started a beautiful medicinal garden at the Veterans Healing Farm, and we started working together, we created a program to teach vets how to make their own medicine with the plants and the essential
Love that. That's so cool.
and mindful meditation and other techniques. And so we've done 2 boot camps where we had a group of about 15 vets from all over the U.S., men and women from all different branches of the armed forces. And we had the privilege of being able to teach them and really learn from them as well, right? Teach them about their medicine and learn from them about their experiences and ceremony with them. And it was it was profound. And we also do some work with the VA hospital here along those same lines, and are working to develop out the program this year in perhaps some other capacities. And so it really is so close to my heart. And my partner he's been in the military for 24 years. So continues to be a really deep place of not just passion, but longing and vulnerability as well.
That's so beautiful, Adora.
So much that can be shared from the plant kingdom, especially addressing PTSD and sleep and mood and pain. And because pain is held in so many aspects of our being.
So many deep places. So many deep places. Well, I just honor your work so much. I'm so excited about everything you're creating, about all the light you're bringing to the world, healing, the evolution. Oh, thank you. But the evolution of your work has been so incredible, and you're going to be such a change maker in the world as we shift out of this old 3D matrix and evolve into the higher vibrational experience that the planet is going to have.
Oh, it's so true. And the beauty is when we can let go and be in alignment and flow and the remembrance of our divinity and ability to allow in grace and miracles. What we can create is truly limitless. And we can really get into that heart-centered space, that 0 point field. What we can create, experience, heal is completely limitless. And my life is a testament to that. And, you know, the vibration and energy and practice, cultivation of gratitude is such a important part of that.
It's magic.
Yeah.
It's magic.
It
I'm
is.
so happy we got to sit down today. You've been such an awesome, informative, beautiful guest.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's such an honor to be here with you and
thank you so
be able to
much.
spread the beautiful work that you're doing and your message in the world in greater ways.
Adora, I want to honor you for just your light and your alignment, your purpose, your mission here. I hope sometime to get back out there and see you in person.
Yes.
We'll have to connect.
Great. Come to Asheville.
I love Asheville. I was just there in November.
Oh,
I should have called you. I didn't even think about it. I went and did a little escape just by myself. I went to the Grove Park Inn and did a lot of writing, you know, and just reflecting and connecting. And
well, you'll definitely have to reach out the next time you're in town. Maybe let me know.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I will never say no to a trip.
Me either.
So thank you. Thank you for your beautiful light and all the offerings you're bringing to the world. And to my audience, thank you so much for tuning in. I know you got a ton of great information. Check out AdoraWinquist.com and her What's your other web address?
Zenergy medicinals.
Zenergy medicinals. I'll put it all down below. But to my audience, thank you again for joining us. I love you all. Be kind to yourselves.
My pleasure.
See
Thanks
you later. Thank you so much.